What's up, guys? So as you guys saw by the thumbnail and the title of this video that I put on this video for you guys, which is probably why you clicked on it, today we are going to be talking about Boston Marathon Monday, my experience watching Boston Marathon Monday. Now, if any of you watched the Boston Marathon this Monday on April 17th, I think, or April... it was April 17th. So if any of you watched this Boston Marathon on April 17th, this past Monday, maybe not this past Monday when I'm posting this for you guys, but the past Monday, on April 17th of 2023, you guys know there was drama. There was Eliud Kipchoge lost the race. He came in 6th. He ran 209.30 or something like that, 209 mid. And Evans Chebet defended his title on the men's side. On the women's side, we had Hellen Obiri, one of the greatest track and field athletes of the last generation on the women's side, who won 2 gold medals, a double world champion. She was a double world champion in the 5,000 meters, and she competed in multiple other events on the track, such as the 1,500 meters and the 10,000 meters. She won the race, and Emma Bates, who led past 21 miles, almost to 22 miles. She actually became top American along with Nell Rojas and Sarah Hall, not coming in too far behind her. And it was just all around, it was bonkers. It was crazy. I mean, everyone thought Kipchoge was going to win, blow out the course record. And as you guys know, it was raining that day as well. So I'm super excited to tell you guys about this. We're going to go through the entire experience. I'm going to tell you guys what I thought when I saw Kipchoge go by in 6th. I'm going to tell you guys why he did not win the race. And I'm going to tell you guys just my experience personally being at this race, standing at mile 21 right before Heartbreak Hill, and basically, how crazy it was watching these two scenarios play out. Where I was standing right next to Heartbreak Hill Running Company, which is right before Heartbreak Hill, and it was crazy. I saw Kipchoge come by in 6th, and if you should have saw my reaction, it was absolutely priceless. It was crazy. My reaction was so priceless because I was not expecting any of it. And Emma Bates, when she came through leading, it was amazing. So I am going to tell you guys from start to finish, from the day's beginning to the day's end, how my experience at Boston Marathon Monday in 2023 this year was. And I'm going to give you guys my brutally, honest reactions on how I reacted to all of it. They are absolutely priceless, and I cannot wait to tell you guys about all the reactions I've had. So let's get straight into it. So, to start off the morning, I woke up. My dad actually was running the marathon today. Congratulations to him. He ran 3:12:30, which was crazy. He did an amazing job, but congratulations to my dad. So he actually had to wake up at around 4 in the morning to get ready. He had to be dropped off to take the bus he actually had to be dropped off in Lowell to take the bus to Hawkinton with the good old Roadrunners. So my mom dropped him off there at 6:30 when he had to be dropped off. I woke up around 7, took a quick shower, got my breakfast ready. I didn't have time to eat it in the house, but I took my breakfast in the car, got everything ready, and we went to go pick up my friend Michaela, her mom, and then her grandmother, and her sister Quinn and my sister Catherine. Michaela's sister Quinn had slept over the night before, so once we picked them all up, we headed into Boston, and once we got in there, we actually got a little bit of breakfast. I didn't do much on the ride down, just played a few games on my phone, did a little bit of editing for you guys, but we didn't do much on the way down there, but basically what happened is we got down there, we parked in a cafe area, and then once we parked in that cafe area, we actually got breakfast, and what I did is I didn't get breakfast, but I got a sandwich. This might sound disgusting to some of you, because some of my friends who came to watch, we also had some special surprise guests come to watch as well. But it might sound disgusting, but it's a smoked salmon. It's a smoked salmon, egg, and avocado sandwich with bread. Avocado, eggs, and salmon are 3 of my favorite things in the world, so that's probably why it was so appealing to me. Everyone else thought it was gross, but whatever. I like some pretty interesting things. I'm not a very normal I like to think I don't like to think of myself as a very normal person. Obviously I'm normal, but obviously sometimes I'm not. So overall, so we got that sandwich, and then once we finished up breakfast, me and my mom actually wanted to go down and get a spot at where we were going to stand for the race. So her and me walked down. I had my iPad opened up watching the race, listening to the commentators buy time before the men's wheelchair started. And then as we were walking walking down, the men's wheelchair started. A few minutes later, the women's wheelchair started, and they went off like rockets. I mean, they are amazing. I love watching them go by. It was crazy. I mean, when they came by us, it was insane. And the women's, at the beginning of the women's wheelchair race, it was insane. Susanna Scaroni, who actually ended up winning the race, she had to change her tire 2 times, and I mean, she had like a 1.5-minute lead, or maybe a 2-minute lead, but they actually said like she lost about a minute trying to change her tires, and that happened in like the first 5 miles of the race. And again, when you're racing for an hour and a half, like that's a lot of time, especially on a wheelchair. And when in all those tires, those are the only thing that's going to get you across. So you can't. I mean, when you're having that happen at mile 5, like I thought she was easily not even going to finish the race because she wasn't able to. Her tires were flat. So she had to fix her tires, but luckily she did end up winning the race. And Marcel Hug actually ended up winning on the men's side. But overall, we'll save that stuff for later. So we got down. Me and my mom walked down. We found our spot, and I went to do my quick run for the day, just a mile because I wasn't feeling 100% a few days after the 5K. So I just did a BAA 5K, which that recap we watched that. But overall, once we finally, sorry about that. So once we, what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. Oh, wait, yeah. Okay, I got it. So once I finally ran my mile, finished that up with like 8 minutes, 7:45 to 8 minute miling. It was, I mean, not super fast for me, but it was fine. And then by the time I finished up, I went back to watch the race. I actually told my mom, like, can you hold my iPad for me while I wanted to, go run, because I was like, I don't really want to miss anything. But I was like, I have to run because otherwise I'm not going to run till like 10 o'clock at night, because we weren't going to get home till like 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, I really don't plan on running tonight at 10 o'clock. So I just decided to run then. That would probably be easier. So once I finally came back, the men's wheelchair were probably about 5-10 minutes away from us. They were very, very quick. But maybe like 10 to 20. But overall, once I finally came back, the men's started not far after that, and all anyone could talk about was Kipchoge, and it was crazy. I mean, the pressure on Eliud Kipchoge, and for those of you who don't know, I don't know how you couldn't know, but for those of you who don't know, Eliud Kipchoge is the greatest marathoner, hands down, of all time. He's the double world record breaker. He was the first man to break first and only currently man to break 2 hours. He has won, I think, 15 of his 18 he has won 15 of his 18 major marathons, or marathons alike, that he's run. I think he won 15 out of the 18 marathons he's ever run. Boston was his 18th, which again he did not win because he came in 6th. Which I still believe that Eliud will come back, and he actually already said he has plans to come back next year to Boston, since he loves this. He said he loves the city, although I also think it's the fact that he doesn't want to really leave a bad reputation in Boston, even though his reputation wouldn't be destroyed. But I think he just wants to leave a good impression on Boston. I think he wants to really have a good feeling about Boston when he leaves. I think people don't want to, because if he leaves and then never comes back, people are going to solidify Boston and Kipchoge with losing. I think Kipchoge wants to have Boston and Kipchoge solidified winning. That way, he wants to have every single marathon he runs. When you say Kipchoge and the marathon in the same sentence, the first thing that comes to mind is winning. Right now, you say Boston and Kipchoge in the first sentence, the first thing that comes to mind is 6th place or losing. Even though he still ran 2:09, he was 4.5 minutes off the leader, and he lost the race. He actually said it messed up his plans this year not winning Boston, because he was expecting to go to Boston, then probably go to the New York City Marathon, and that would wrap up his majors, but it messed up his plans. So now he has to come to Boston next year. Most likely he'll come to New York in the fall, come to Boston next year, but then if he doesn't win next year, we don't actually know what he's going to do. And if he doesn't win in New York, I don't know if he's actually going to win all 6 majors. So it's going to be really, really hard. And now they're talking about adding in a 7th major called the Sydney Marathon. So I really don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how that's going to happen. Quite honestly, I think that Kipchoge will come back to Boston. I think he'll win. Again, I am a huge Kipchoge supporter. So I really think he will come back and win. I think that's the type of person he can be. He can be the one to roll up, and even when he hasn't won even when he hasn't won the previous year, I think he can come up and say, I'm going going to win. I'm going to show everyone that I can win Boston. And I think he has this cloud swarming around him, like, oh, can Kipchoge not run hills? He can't run in the rain. Like, I think he just wants to have these, rumors. Like, I think he's trying to shut them down because he's just like, well, yeah, I can run in hills and I can run in the rain. Like, I can win on these hilly courses in these bad conditions. It doesn't matter. Like, I am the greatest marathoner of all time, hands down. And I think he wants to just prove that to the world. Sorry for my rant there. I just kind of wanted to give you a background about Kipchoge. Also, the reason Kipchoge didn't win, I'm actually going to say that one for later. I will tell you guys at the end of this video why Kipchoge didn't win, as I promised you. But overall, either way, once I finally got back, a few minutes after, I came back from my run, and a few minutes after watching my iPad a little bit, to get the commentators' thoughts on Kipchoge, the men's race was off, and Kipchoge was out and leading. And just about 10 minutes later, the women's race went off, and they came out like rockets, and Emma Bates led the women's, Eliud Kipchoge led the men's, and the race for Boston was on. So as they were racing down the fast and flying streets of Boston, and if you guys don't know Boston, I will actually put a course map right here. As you guys can see, the first part of the course map, it's all hills. Everything about the first part of Boston screams elevation drop, and basically, as you guys can see, all that, you start up here and you basically come, like it's a bunch of bumpy hills down. It almost looks like a mountain that, like, you're starting at the top and you're descending down, and then once you get about, level off here, then you start going up, and then you go up 4 big hills. Those are called the Newton Hills, which basically consists of 3 hills plus, or I guess it consists of 4 hills, but basically what it consists of is one over the bridge, another one right after the bridge, and then it levels out a little bit and goes downhill. Then you have another one that goes up, and then it levels down, and then you have Heartbreak Hill, which is where we were right before, which is where I saw Kipchoge right before he went up. And then at that hill, why it's called Heartbreak Hill, basically Johnny Kelly, one of the most famous Boston Marathon runners of all time, he won 2 and came in second in 7 Boston Marathons, 9 in total, won 2, came in second 7 times. He was actually passed by a runner on Heartbreak Hill, and that kind of like has the revelation of, or the remembrance of breaking his heart. So that's kind of why they call it Heartbreak Hill. It's also it's a brutal hill. After about 20 miles of running, you hit Heartbreak Hill and you're just like, oh, why is this here? Like, again, I don't even think I fully understand it because I never run the race before. But I think when you run the race, and if any of your parents, you can probably ask your parents if any of them have ever run the Boston Marathon before. You can probably ask them and they'll say it's a brutal hill after what you've done 20 miles. I mean, and by that point you got up that hill and you still have 10K to go. So, like, not only are you not done after the hill, you then still have a whole bunch of other downhills and uphills to deal with after those. They're not as bad, but they're still downhills and uphills. So overall, now that I finally cleared the wind for like all that stuff, I know I went on a huge rant about Kipchoge and Heartbreak Hill and all that kind of stuff. The men's wheelchair soon after that finally came by. They were flying. Marcel Hug came through in first, and then probably I would say about 3 to 4.5 minutes later, I would say the second place wheelchair came through. And Daniel Romanchuk, who's actually won on this course 2 times, once in 2019 and once in 2022, he got obliterated by Marcel Hug. It was amazing. It was crazy to see. Daniel Romanchuk, for those of you who don't know, he is a 2-time Boston winner. He has raced Boston a multitude of times, won 2 times against Marcel Hug. Marcel Hug is a 5-time Boston winner. I think he's beat Daniel Romanchuk 3 or 4 times. Maybe even 5 times, I'm not quite sure. But, I mean, Marcel Hug is the greatest men's wheelchair runner, racer in the world right now. As much as I don't like it, because I want the U.S. to be the greatest at everything, because I am from the U.S., but overall, Marcel Hug is amazing. I love seeing him go by. He flew and he whipped by on that wheelchair. I still am mesmerized at how they get up those hills, those wheelchair guys. They must build so much momentum down the downhills that they don't even need to worry about the uphills because it's just so easy for them. For them, you're really only working the last 10 miles. I mean, that's really all you're working. Like, for the first 16 miles, you can kind of cruise, like, directly downhill, and then it's only for the last, like, 10 that you're actually working. So for probably, 65-70% of the race, they're not actually having to do anything except let the wheels ride. Because as a runner, obviously, you have to pound the pavement. You have to run, and you have to do all these things. As a wheelchair, you don't have to do those things because your arms are the one pushing you. But if you're going down a hill, the wheel is naturally going to move faster as you go down a hill. So obviously, you guys are still pumping, but like they're not pumping as hard as they must. So that's why 65-70% of the race is just them cruising, and the last like 30 to 35% is them actually working to get up those hills. But soon after the men's wheelchair, by soon I mean like 20, 25, 30 minutes, the women's wheelchair finally came through, and Susanna Scaroni, who was from the U.S., so we did have a U.S. champion here in Boston today. She's actually the only U.S. champion in Boston today. Susanna Scaroni came by, and she probably had a solid 2 to 2.5 minute lead as well, so that was pretty crazy. Amidst all that, I was still watching on my iPad the men's feed, and I had actually gone away to like watch some other I actually got away to like sit with my friend Quinn for a little bit. She was cold. Michaela's sister Quinn, I had gone with her. She was cold, so we went inside the nearby Heartbreak Hill running company store. And we just warmed up in there. I looked around at some of the products, but at that point, I must have missed something because Eliud Kipchoge, he actually had fallen off at that point. And I think he led through halfway, and he led through halfway at like 1:02. So he was already off course record pace by the time he led through halfway. So I knew almost indefinitely that he wasn't going to break the course record by probably 10K. He just wasn't on pace for it. He would have had to picked it up absurdly quickly in the final few miles, in the final half of the race, and that just didn't happen. Obviously, his pace slowed even more dramatically, but he was on pace for a 2:04 coming to the half, and he was winning by that point. So, I'm actually surprised because they actually sped up the pace. I think because they were coming through like 2:04, 2:05, and I think they even got up to as far as like 2:05.30 or 2:06. But Evans Chibet actually lowered that back down to 2:05 mid, I think. So hats off to Evans Chibet for that. But once I finally actually didn't see that, the men came by, and I swear my jaw dropped. Like legit. If you could think of a definition of a mic drop, like that was my mic drop moment. I was like, oh my god. Like, I literally said the words no. Like, in, like, complete disbelief. Like, I had to double look first because, like, I didn't understand. Like, was I missing Kipchoge? Like, was he in that front pack? I just wasn't seeing him? And then, like, I had to double take because I was just like, oh my god, this is insane. And then a runner behind that front pack came along, and I was like, oh my god, did Kipchoge drop out? Did he get hurt? Like, what happened? And then I see Kipchoge come around, and I'm like, okay, he didn't drop out and get hurt, but like, Kipchoge is in 7th right now. And like, again, hats off to him, he did come in 6th, so he did bump up a place, but I'm just like, how in the world did Kipchoge get dropped from this lead pack? Like, this is insane. And again, I think people do throw around a bunch of rumors. They say his water bottle got dropped, so he didn't have enough fluids. Could be a possibility. His left, but the biggest thing that people were accusationing was his left leg was actually hurting him during and after the race. So he actually went straight into the medical tent after the race. And again, I would have loved to see Kipchoge win. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I was heartbroken to see Kipchoge wasn't going to win, and I knew at that point, like, there's not enough time to make up that much distance in a marathon. Once you've fallen that far back, you're not getting back up there. So I was just like, I am starstruck. Like, this is insane. The fact that Kipchoge will not win, and the fact that Evans Chibet might defend the title that he set, because I actually said once Kipchoge fell off, I was like, Mom, Evans Chibet's gonna Evans is gonna defend his title, because I was choosing by his first name, but I was like, Evans is gonna defend his title, and she was like, yeah, I hope he does, because Evans Chibet had won the previous year. If you guys haven't seen my full Boston Marathon recap video about that, I will link that down in the description below as well, along with the BA 5K 2023 video. But overall, like, Evans Chibet, he had won last year, and it was insane. Like, I was absolutely starstruck. The fact that the fact that Eliud Kipchoge was off that lead pack, wasn't even in the second group behind the lead pack, he was the third group behind the lead pack. That is unheard of for this all-time great. And again, I couldn't run 209 in my wildest dreams. Like, I understand that 209, everyone's probably yelling at me like, oh my god, Michael, what do you, like, you're one of those people. It's like, no. I couldn't run 209 in my wildest dreams, and I will tell you guys that right now. But like the fact that Eliud Kipchoge, the greatest marathoner of all time, is in the third group behind the lead pack. I mean, I was starstruck. I thought it was insane. But again, I am a full Kipchoge supporter. I love Eliud Kipchoge. He is my favorite athlete of all time. If I could meet one person on earth and only one athlete ever, I would choose Eliud Kipchoge and nobody else. If someone said, you can choose one athlete and nobody else ever again, you could never meet another athlete famous, I would say I want Eliud Kipchoge hands down. But it was a crazy moment for me. So the elite men went past. I then watched the live stream even more until I had to give up my iPad and my phone for people to play with, just so they wouldn't get bored. And then soon after them, probably by soon I mean about 25 minutes, half an hour, maybe 45 minutes later, the elite women came through, and I was starstruck here too. Not quite as much, but the main contenders hadn't fallen off too much, but I was starstruck that an American named Emma Bates was leading the Boston Marathon, and I was like, she's probably not going to win, but the fact that she's hung on this long to lead is very, very impressive. I was very, very impressed with how Emma Bates ran this race. It was incredible. I think she led up to like mile 21 or 22 before the East Africans took over, and that's not like them. Like normally the East Africans, I mean, last year, if you look, Molly Seidel was the closest American to the East Africans, and she was probably a minute back. Like, most of the time, you don't see a group of that many women come through at the same time, because last year in Boston, I mean, we saw Perez Jepchir, we saw Ababa Yeshne, and we saw, who was it? If I think of the name, I will put it right here in post when I edit the video. But overall, I mean, it was insane. I mean, I could not believe that, compared to last year and this year, the pack was probably 10 deep this year. Last year, the pack was 3 deep. Like, there's a enormous difference there. The road was, super, super cluttered, and, there was nobody even close to the lead pack last year. This year, they had kept, a group of, 10 or 12 women in there. Last year, there was 3, and this was at 20 miles. I mean, it's insane. I could not believe how many women there were, and especially the fact that an American was leading the race, which, again, you guys are probably thinking to me, oh, Michael, why are you such a downer about the Americans? But it's just no, I'm not a downer about the Americans. Emma Bates did an incredible job, and she was top American, amazing. But you just wouldn't expect that to be up there. So or you wouldn't expect an American to be leading the Boston Marathon, especially by this point in the race when they've already kind of made the moves, which is pretty incredible. So I have to say, hats off to Emma Bates. Congratulations to her if Emma Bates is somehow watching this video. Congratulations to Emma Bates. It is an amazing, amazing sight to see when an American leads a big race like this, especially Boston, which is the biggest race in all of America practically. Everyone in America raves about the Boston Marathon as the biggest race in the world, but also as one of the biggest races in America. So, I mean, it was insane. I loved seeing Emma Bates there. But we also had a pack of, 10 deep with Helen Obiri. We had Ababa Yeshne. She was back. Perez Jepchir didn't run this year. I think she ran London. I'm not quite sure, though. Bridget Koski didn't run this year. But we had a ton of women. And then actually, it was kind of funny. Helen Obiri actually ended up winning for the women, which she, again, as I told you guys, she was a double world champion in the 5,000 meters in 2017 and 2019 on the track. She also ran the 1,500 meters, and she ran the 10,000 meters on the track. And then, she's gotten this marathon thing down pretty much. So if she can carry on with this momentum, she's going to be good to go with this marathon thing. She got a pretty good payday, too. Her and Evans Chebet got a pretty good first-place payday. So I have to say, congratulations to both of them. I really, really do love seeing them. I would have loved to see Emma Bates and Kipchoge win. It would have been amazing. But also, Nell Rojas came through soon after that for the women, along with Sarah Hall. They practically were buddies the entire time they ran together. Des Linden came through. I actually got to meet Des and get her book, Choosing to Run. If you guys want to check out Choosing to Run, link in the description below. And then on the men's side, you also saw Scott Fauble, Connor Mance. You saw C.J. Albertson, which he made some pretty big headlines in 2021 when he went out and led for the first 22 miles and 21 21 to 22 miles. And then the pack caught him. It was amazing. If you guys haven't watched that yet, you need to go on YouTube and search up Boston Marathon Men's Field 2021, something like that, and you will see C.J. Albertson lead from the get-go, and it was incredible. Benson Kiprugu actually ended up winning that race, but C.J. Albertson put on a show for the Americans. It was amazing. He had about a minute lead probably over the front pack, or actually no, not a minute. He had a mile lead over everyone. That's like 4.5 minutes, guys, and somehow they caught him. I actually thought for a period of time that C.J. Albertson would win the race. It was amazing. But overall, you guys should go check that out. And then we're on to the masses. So we actually got to see a lot of Greater Lowell people come through. And then obviously Emma Bates became top American. Evan Chibet won. I think Connor Mance was top. Oh no, Scott Fauble was top American this year. Connor Mance actually came through us at top American, but Scott Fauble once again, somehow he does it 3 years in a row. He became top American, so it is incredible. He beat Kipchoge. Like, I think Mance beat Kipchoge too. Connor Mance, I think, beat Kipchoge. That is amazing. Scott Fauble also, I think, beat Kipchoge, which is incredible. Again, Kipchoge is incredible, but the fact that they beat him is even more incredible in my mind. But overall, now we're on to the masses. So we got to see a lot of Greater Lowell runners run. Paulo Amaral. We got to see Tony Lee. We also got to see we didn't see Corey Edwards, but Corey Edwards was the man I had the incredible Fudgegall battle with back in I think it was February. We had the incredible Fudgegall battle, Fudgegall 2023. We had the incredible battle down the streets of Tewksbury. And I ended up winning that race, but it was incredible to race him. So Corey Edwards did like 2:53, which is amazing. And then you also come, you get my dad. He also did it. He ran Scott. Well, before I talk about my dad, Scott Graham ran his 40th Boston, 37th Boston Marathon this year, 38th. He is incredible. And then my dad, obviously, the one who we're big here to see, he actually, he finished in 3:12:30, which is an incredible time for him. He looked amazing. He barely had any training going into this. It was an incredible sight to see. I loved it. And he crossed the finish line. He looked like he had overjoyed on his face. I actually got a friend to send me a picture I actually got a friend from school to send me a picture because they were watching the live feed of the marathon, and they found my dad in the crowd, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. I may feature that. I'll put it right here if I can find it in my camera roll. But overall, that's pretty much my recap on the Boston Marathon. After that, we walked over to have some dinner. I got a salad, and then once we had some dinner, we drove everyone home. We went home, and I crashed on my bed after the soggy, sloppy, exhilarating, exciting, amazing, incredible day that we had at the 2023 Boston Marathon. Alright guys, that's probably all I have to say for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I really, really do hope you guys enjoyed everything I had to talk about. Again, I hope I gave a little bit of insight of what it's like to be on this Boston Marathon course, see what it's like, give a little bit of insight on Eliud Kipchoge. If you guys want to see a more full, in-depth, like me reading an article to you guys like I normally do, you guys can email me at mrsrchannelcomments11@gmail.com. Any questions, or if you want to see that article video, I can do that as well. By the way, again, as you guys know, I said I would tell you guys the reason Kipchoge was hurting at the end of this video. Again, some of the rumors are flying around, but I think the best one is his left leg was hurting. I wish everyone the best. Congratulations to everyone who won the race. Congratulations to all the top Americans. Congratulations to all the podium winners. And best of luck to Eliud Kipchoge for getting better. Good luck, Eliud. I hope to see you back here in Boston next year and in New York this fall. Hope to see you healthy for the Olympics next year as well. And I cannot wait to see more Boston Marathon thrillers. We have more major marathons coming up in the fall. So I'll be staying up till probably the late hours in the morning watching those up. So I cannot wait to share more with you guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I really hope you guys liked everything I talked about in today's video. Congratulations to my dad. Congratulations to all the GLRR runners today who ran. Thank you so much to our surprise guests as well. The LeMays came, and so did Jacob and Ethan. I'll just put it that way. Jacob and Ethan and their parents came. It was an incredible day. I loved it so much, and they always make everything so much more fun. So thank you so much for our surprise guests, the LeMays, Jacob and Ethan, and their parents for coming. Thank you so much to Michaela and Quinn and her grandmother and her mom for coming to cheer my dad on, cheer all the elites on. It was an amazing day. Again, if I can get some videos that a lot of my friends took, I will link them at the end of this video. So make sure you guys stick around to the end of this video to see those videos that my friends took of the elites, and not only the elites, but my dad and all the great GLRR runners. But overall, I can't not wait to share more with you guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have fun, always run, never gonna be a dream, so that hard work always pays off, even if not right away. Trust the process, never stop believing. You guys are incredible. Peace out, guys. See you tomorrow. Good luck to Elliot. Hope you get better. Congratulations to everyone who ran the Boston Marathon this year. 2023 was incredible. 2024 will be even better. We'll see you next time. I'll see you next time on the channel, guys. Peace.